I have been growing a deep appreciation for Sadie Sink ever since Stranger Things, especially the last season. If you're a fan of that show, you know just how good of an actress she is. Stranger Things 4 really aided her in regard to me understanding. I already knew based on previous seasons, but her performance in that last season and the story that was written for her really got me. Sadie Sink is an incredible actress. I mean, a younger actress too. She's certainly evolving into what I would say is, going to be a successful adult or Hollywood star, at least by my estimation. And this sounds like a project that it's a bit different in tone from what I'm familiar with of her. I mean, she's done stuff like in the horror thriller space, obviously with Stranger Things. Well, horror thriller kind of like an 80s homage. I'm trying to best streamline my judgment of the genre here, but this is a drama, very different, and I think it's coming out on part of, let me make sure I get the affiliation right here, Freestyle Digital Media. I've come up with their projects in the past. They seem to be more of like a, lower budget studio, from at least what I found, maybe some more unknown releases, but some competent ones. I mean, some of their films have really interested me in the past. Let's see how Dear Zoe stands up. I mean, it's got a pretty strong pitch, and the film itself, for me, demands something different from what I've seen from Sadie Sink. But to give you a baseline if you're not familiar, this is what you can expect according to the pitch presented by IMDb. When Tess and her family suffer an unimaginable loss, she finds support from a surprising source, her biological father, a lovable slacker from the wrong side of the tracks, and the charming but dangerous juvenile delinquent next door. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what they mean by the dangerous juvenile delinquent. Maybe as a figure of resonance for her, maybe a relatability, perhaps there's a relationship that'll blossom off of that. But the biological father, a lovable slacker from the wrong side of the tracks, I have an inclination based on the actor here, I don't know this for sure, the trailer will prove this, but Theo Rossi, who I've seen, I don't know how many times. The guy is an excellent character actor. I love watching him. Very grounded performances, a lot of talent with him. I could see the lovable slacker performance, but somebody who in many ways feels sympathetic based on the writing of the character. I could see him playing that role. I think he'd be a good fit. And it's based on a novel, apparently. I did not know that. It sounds like it's shaping to be a pretty competent release, and I don't remember when this was releasing. I didn't look at that actually in detail. This is coming out, I think the trailer actually came out this morning. So the trailer was fairly recent, November. So it's got a little ways to go, about 2 months. But, hey, I'd be game for a Sadie Sink performance, especially one that is very different from what I'm familiar with of her. But let's see just how much range she has. Again, I think, she demonstrated her talents quite exceptionally on the last season of Stranger Things. And Theo Rossi, immediate draw for me. Here we go. Let's take a look at the first trailer. Let's see how Dear Zoe stands up.
Dear Zoe, I have memories of you from before you were even born.
Here we are again, just friends in the dark, watching boxes.
Hey, Em. Can I see? What is it?
Santa lying face down, crying.
Something has changed in the way that I feel.
This has nothing to do with Zoe. Everything else does.
What's going on? Is your mom okay?
Can I come in?
Really glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Why is she here? Why is she here?
Ellie's the custodial parent, not you. Huh? Not you.
I know you've been through hell, but I know that kid in there is obviously hurting too.
Tragic performances.
Big sister, I was supposed to protect you.
Good ones, though.
Are you coming back home?
I need some time. I have to clear my head.
I do too. Tell me that you feel this way.
I'm Tess.
I'm Jim.
You're insane. This is insane. If my dad finds out.
I know that guy.
Gotta get my act together. Focus on being a parent.
Even come to think of it, I've not seen
Yes.
Theo Rossi in this type of role either. I mean, I'm familiar with him again from other dramatic performances in other genres, but not something like this.
Your mom and me, we managed to do one thing right.
You were funny, and loud, and sweet, And I will never, ever forget you. Love always. Tess.
Can you teach me how to drive?
Oh, those are scary words. It's right up there with where the babies come from.
Endearing. Strong release. And it might be, what's it rated R for? Some teen marijuana use. That's minor. I was gonna say, like, what's it rated R for? Because I could see that easily appealing to for many people. Probably the family audience as well. I could see that, maybe not. Maybe the subject matter probably would go over kids' heads to some degree, but I could see it playing very well. Like if you wanted to take your teens to watch this and you wanted to go to a theater. Is this getting a theater debut? I imagine they probably try, or at the very least it's limited. Or streaming. Maybe it would go straight to streaming. That would be an accessible option. So you can sit down maybe with your teenagers and have a good movie night with a project that feels very accessible. And perhaps that's what will bring the teenagers in is, I watch Stranger Things. And I know Sadie Sink, so that's why maybe other people, film is subjective, genre, is preferential. Some people like other genres, films perhaps maybe not necessarily others, right? Everybody has selective film tastes. And for some, from people in your family, it might be, I'm not really that interested in a drama, I might like Stranger Things more for the horror side or the suspense side of it, the thriller edge. But I would imagine for somebody like Sadie Sink, who again, in my opinion, and I believe the opinion of many other people, had such a stellar role in last season. And I thought, she was good in previous entries, but I did not realize the extent of her acting capability. She is a very, very talented actress. I could imagine that easily being a draw. People watch this trailer and go, oh, she, this is the same girl from Stranger Things, and she's, seeming to give a very good performance, a very sentimental one. It's very different, but that'll be enough of a draw. Theo Rossi as well. Again, like I said, upon further inspection, the most I've seen him in regard to genre are thrillers. So this is very different from what I'm familiar with, but this type of deep character, I have seen him portray that role before. And I think with his range, he's quite a talent. And I certainly buy him in the role of protective dad who seems to be in a very tragic situation with his family, with the mother. And then maybe there's that feeling that mom wants to be involved, maybe she wants to be involved too much, there's some underlying issues. I mean, the way it seemed like she was yelling at her daughter, there seemed to be... It's a dense presentation. And maybe for, people who have gone through a situation like this, maybe you're, adult grown up, or maybe you're a child who's in the midst of this type of situation like this, maybe this film will have resonance on a level that there's perhaps, because it has such a realistic portrayal, it seems, it might mimic your situation. Again, I don't know the story to Dear Zoe. I'd be interested to at least read about it, in the original work. I don't know what order I'd do it. I don't know if I'd watch the movie first or I'd read the book. I mean, the author was involved, so you can probably hope that this is a very reasonable and faithful adaptation of whatever, the first entry had to offer from a story. But it seems like a strong release. And I like this hopeful vision, amidst tragedy, it seems, or tense circumstances, that this girl is growing up. And I'd say father and daughter are growing alongside one another. And the performances, again, from both Theo Rossi and Sadie Sink are incredibly dynamic. I certainly buy them, as a loving family. They seem to fit very well into those roles. I'm endeared by it. And again, I've covered, freestyle digital media occasionally. Not that often. I've got a lot of works I gotta look at from them. I got a list that just builds every day of projects I gotta take a look at. But that's not bad, actually. And, fitting for the November year. It's kind of in the fall season. It's still earlier than Thanksgiving, so it's not necessarily within the window of a holiday release, well, other than Veterans Day. But I could see, again, this being a draw for, people who are interested in a very realistic experience. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to be the highest grossing movie, but I could see a place for it. We'll see what the audience has to say about it, but again, I think there's many factors that point to this film's possible success, whether it be what it's boasting in the trailer in regard to its acting credits, or just even on its own merits. I think it seems like a pretty endearing and strong story. What are your guys' thoughts? So maybe you have an entirely different take than I do, or perhaps you agree. Maybe Yeah, I'd be curious. What brings you in? The story, perhaps an understanding with the original work, maybe a love for that, maybe the acting credits. Again, I imagine many people are going to at least turn an interested eye to this in regard to Sadie Sink because of the Stranger Things affiliation. Or Theo Rossi. I mean, again, I could see many points of this, appealing to people from certain components within the film's construction, but I'd be curious to learn if that's your position. What brings you in best if you are interested in this project? Feel free to illuminate me down below in terms of your outlook on it. It looks good, though. As a project, I would highly be, open to watching this. Looks like a very competent release. Looking forward to seeing more, perhaps. I don't know if we're going to get another trailer. I mean, it's a smaller movie. Maybe I think one trailer is probably sufficient enough. Some, movies get one or two. It differs in range from property to property. But if there is anything in the future, I'll cover it. Maybe a featurette or something. I'd love to get a better window into the work behind the project if that is available to me as an option. But the project itself looks fine. Looks good. I'm definitely eager to watch it. We'll see what happens in November. I think it looks like a strong entry. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.